Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Mac.
And today we are going to talk about another game that we champion. You can check out our series on some of the games we champion, where we talk about a game that isn't currently in the Board Game Geek Top 500. But we could see that it maybe could be, in our opinion. Possibly. Obviously, I don't know if we've even played 500 games, so I guess all the games we've played are in the top 500, but
Yeah.
I could see why this one should be, in my opinion.
Sure. So where's it currently at, dear?
But yeah, this is the Ancient World, and I believe it's the second edition, even though I don't think it actually... I didn't see it on the box cover, second edition. Usually sometimes it'll say that. But I think this is the second edition. So there's two editions on Board Game Geek. The original that came out in 2014, and then this one that was 2019. But they're actually ranked relatively close to each other. So the first, and I don't know what the differences are exactly. So we've only ever played this one. But the first one is ranked, as of filming this, 1,650.
Okay.
And this one is ranked 1,595. So they're about 55 ranks apart, which is actually
one's higher.
This one's ranked a little bit better. And yeah, that's from Red Raven Games, designed by Ryan Laukat, who has done a lot of other games like I think Above and Below, Near and Far, Now or Never, Sleeping Gods. And he always has really solid artwork. It's artwork that I really, really love. Although I think a lot of his games are a little more story-driven typically. So this one doesn't really have any of that in it. So it's a little bit different than some of his other ones. I've also played Islebound, which is also his.
Okay.
And I don't think that one had as much story, but it's been a while since I played it. I only had one time to play it. I don't think that one had as much story either, but... Yeah, so this one, kind of the main mechanisms in it would be kind of worker placement and set collection, I would say.
Yep.
So, yeah, it kind of appeals more to the game that I would typically play. I really like worker placement games, so that's probably why it maybe appeals to me. Whereas one, if I was seeking out a Red Raven game, a Ryan Laukat game, probably be one that would be higher on the list than maybe some of his other more story-driven ones.
Sure. I can't say I played any of his other games. I did do like one round of Sleeping Gods, but otherwise, I think this is the only other Ryan Laukat game I've played. So I don't get a lot to compare to, other than just the genre in general.
But he does have an art style.
He does. And
would you say that the artwork is similar to like a Sleeping Gods? Because I think that one's been one of his more popular ones currently. If you've probably played any Red Raven games, this might be a chance that you've probably played that one.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so why do we champion this game to be in the top 500, Maggie?
Well, it's an interesting question. So I think the first time we played it, I was not set on this game. Like, it was just kind of a lot going on, and I didn't really get it. But that's kind of the story for most of the games that we play. And I think after a couple of playthroughs, it was like, oh wow, this is like really great. Like once you figure out some of the rules and stuff, I think it can be really cool. But like it is pretty straightforward. You've got some worker placement, like you said, but it has a unique mechanism where I'm trying to think of another game that does it because I know there is one. I just am blanking on it, but. You've got workers with numbers 1 through 5, I believe. And so the rule is on worker placement that you can only place if you can place higher.
Higher than the previous
number on there. Otherwise, you have to play lower, and then that also determines.
I think you pay a coin or something. You pay additional to do if you play the same or lower than one that's been placed.
And that also determines the order in which that action is resolved, I believe.
No.
No?
No, you take the action right away when you go on it, like a
Not
normal
even on
placement.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I suppose. That's right. Okay.
It's been a little bit since you played it.
Well, I was thinking of the cards, but I suppose that is as you first come, first serve, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
So, that part is played.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking of Rurik Dawn of Kiev.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Where you're placing
the
numbers based on those.
Games. Anyway, you're doing these worker placement to get actions, and then also in front of you, you kind of have this tableau, this board of like your very own ancient world. And so there's this really unique like kind of card building tableau. I would say it's kind of set collection, a little bit of just like these things help you out in the game. But I think the main piece of it is there's the feed your people aspect to it.
Yes.
But I think the best part about it is actually the monster fighting that you do. And so on your board you've got this monster that's going to attack you at the end of the round unless you feed it ambrosia or kill it. And what is unique about that is you don't have the option solely of fighting the one just on your board. You can fight any of the monsters on any of the players' boards, as well as I believe there is some like monsters set up on the main game board too. So all those monsters are assigned kind of a different banner color. And so at the end of the game you score points for the amount the sets of monsters in the same banner, and there's some other point scoring piece as well, but it's just really unique kind of how that all ties together with the cards you have on like this side of your tableau with feeding and advantages and stuff like that, and then on the other side of your board you have this military setup, and that is so tight because you can only use them so many times. Yep.
Or, because you pay them the coins, and then they get more and more expensive.
Then you have to flip them, and so you're constantly trying to add to your army, and some monsters, you can't just take out with, like, a bow and arrow. You gotta get the swords on it. And so it's kind of like this crazy evolving worker placement, like bettering your tableau type of thing. And so it's just like, to me, this game is just such a complete package because it's manageable. I think one of the things that I get hung up a lot in worker placement games is if you take my spot, there's no action I can take or whatever. Like, if that was absolutely what I needed and I didn't even have a chance at it, like, I am so screwed. And so in this game, I don't feel like that because, you got the different numbers, so that's that. But then I think the different placement areas that you can go to is also good enough where it's like, it might not be the best move, but you can still make it work, kind of an idea.
Usually.
So I feel like worker placement games that account for something like that just do a really great job. And so once I got the handle on kind of the moving pieces to this game, I just really was like, I really like this game. I think I put it in my top 50. I was like, this is great. I told your brother, because I think it's technically his, like, this is ours now. Because I think I like it even more than he does. So, I don't know, just, I'm not a huge worker placement person, but I just felt like this, once you get into it, I just felt like it really just had a lot of theme, a lot of story, and then just kind of great gameplay all around.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much all of those points. And yeah, I think the only area that I thought where it could matter what the turn order is or what comes out are some of those military upgrade cards.
That's true.
Because sometimes there's like better ones than others. And then if you're the first one to go, you'll probably snag those up. And then kind of the leftover ones might cost you something that's really expensive. They're probably better, but you may not have the resources currently to pay for those. But yeah, this is a tighter game. So I think you have to go into it knowing that you're going to have a lot of times where it's like you want to do a little bit more, but you sometimes might not be able to afford it. Because those armies, I would agree, that's probably the most interesting part of the game that kind of differentiates it a little bit for games we have anyway. I'm not sure if other ones do. I'm sure there's some other games that do kind of a combat system similar where you have armies and then they kind of transfer that knowledge when you're flipping over an old one after you've paid them, because when you put a coin on there, you always every time you use them you have to put one more coin than coins on there. So the first time it's one coin, the next time it's two, the next time it's four.
So you really do not
so it
want
gets
to have
be really
to use
expensive.
Too much.
So then you eventually will flip them over, and the one that you had been using will transfer something, whether it be like you said, an arrow or a sword or a coin or something that they'll get you from then that point forward, while also getting the benefits of the new card you just replaced it with, which is really cool. But yeah, it's interesting how you can attack those monsters and how you can attack someone else's, so then they might not have to spend ambrosia to defeat that monster because they just get replaced kind of at the
Which can be
next
both
round.
nice and sucks because sometimes, it's the one right in front of you and it's like, if I don't get this, I can't rely on others to get it, so maybe you're building towards getting it, and then someone else's move, they're like, I'm going to defeat the monster in front of you because maybe it's a banner that they like or whatever that they need, and you're like, oh, okay, well that's good for me because I don't have to worry about this monster, but now I gotta figure out what I'm going to do because I was building towards killing this monster. But luckily for you, there's tons of monsters you can fight.
I think there's usually enough options that you can probably find something.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like you said, I do like the fact that there's a lot of different options, and you can still use worker placement spots that have been used, assuming you're using your workers correctly or nicely, because it does bring that interesting thing in there where you got the numbered workers. So you could initially put like a really high worker out to kind of screw over the other players, but then now you no longer have that higher worker to use yourself when maybe later on you have to use a spot that someone put a 2 or 3 down on, and now I used my 4. Now I'm going to have to pay a coin myself. So then you're kind of screwing everyone at the table, including yourself. So it's kind of an interesting, weird thing. But no, I like the set collection, and I think the artwork is what just gives it kind of that even extra tick up for me, because I think these days a lot of games have really nice artwork, but I really, really like Ryan Laukat artwork. And I wish I liked some of the games that I've played of his. I did like Islebound, but that one is a little harder to get. But Now or Never and Sleeping Gods, I've only played once each, but I would say I was liking this game a lot more after the first play than I was those ones. And this one, even, like you said, after the first play, I think there's still a lot going on here. So it takes a couple of plays to kind of get the feeling of the game, I think. But
there's multiple decks, there's cards, there's feeding your people, which I'm so glad that is not like more difficult. It's not a pain point. It's just a thing you have to do, which doesn't make it a pain point like some games. Agricola, looking at you.
Wow. And I think you still get to pick, like, if you've unlocked like the higher workers, I think you get to pick which workers aren't fed, so it's not like you lose. If I remember right, you don't lose your like 5 and 4.
Who doesn't feed their workers though? Rookie moves.
Pepper.
I know, right? I was just thinking.
What a chump.
The last time we played this, I feel like he had just a terrible time and he lost like a bunch of workers.
Yep.
So.
But no, I would say it's a solid game. The components and everything are really top notch. The artwork, like I said, is 10 for me, probably 9, 10.
It's
they got different monsters and stuff, which are really cool looking.
Yeah.
And your own board has different artwork than everyone else's, which
because you're like
just makes it feel a little bit cooler.
You're each a different ancient world. Like I think there's like Norse and like Ottoman, a bunch of different cool ones.
So yeah, I would definitely say that I would think if I'd play enough games to like 1,000 games, I think this one would still probably be in my top 500. I think it deserves to be the top 500. I don't know if it's...
We're an authority on board gaming.
Yes. So it's going to be in the top 500. Everyone go and vote it for the top 500.
I think this one's great. I'm honestly surprised that it's not. And
I'm surprised it's not in the top 1,000.
I don't know if that's just because it's not as visible.
It's an older game.
I mean, but this one was 2019.
I think part of it too is I think people like Near Far or Above and Below. One of those I think they like a lot more, and then Sleeping Gods has been. So I think a couple of his other games have kind of probably outshined kind of this one. I think this one's kind of fallen behind.
It's a shame.
But yeah, because I'm not sure what those are rated either. But
and did we get like the deluxe version or something?
I don't think so. I think that's just how they come.
Because it's got great pieces. Like it's well put together. It's a very impressive set.
Adds to the whole experience.
It does. Come on, these little brick people.
Exactly.
So cool.
But yeah, so those are our thoughts on the Ancient World and why we think it should be a top 500 game. Let us know below if you agree or disagree or played some of Ryan Laukat's other games and which ones you like the most or where you'd rank this one maybe.
Or if
I know
you
there
have
are fans that
questions,
really
or
play.
if you want us to play a playthrough, it might be a really long video, but
we can do it.
We can do it.
But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.